All right, it's been a while since we did a video talking about an amp, but we have one in again. This is an amp and a DAC. This is the dCS Bartók, one of those big fancy toys you guys like to play with. Yeah, this thing is a beast.
Very big.
For how much it weighs by itself, you would pick it up and think this is probably a unit. And it doesn't disappoint. It's got some interesting features. Not cheap, but, you know, big boy toys.
It's the upper end of things in terms of... well, I mean, for them, it's their lowest cost.
It's their lowest cost, yeah.
Believe it or not, $15,000 US for the DAC, and I think the headphone amp is an option.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So this unit, this has a single-ended and a 4-pin XLR balance. So this is the nicer one.
Yeah.
Out of the two options for this specific unit. But that aside, it still has, well, you can't see it right now. I'll show B-roll of it. There is a ton of plugs on the back of this thing, too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you would possibly expect from a DAC at this price point, taken to 11, basically, would be the way I'd put it.
Yeah, it's a pretty decked out DAC.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's not only for headphones is the other thing. So
Right.
you could use it. It has a button on it to switch between speakers and headphone.
Right.
So.
Oh, yeah, it's got full balanced ins and outs. It's got RCA out.
Mm-hmm.
It has external clock inputs if you want to put a
Yeah.
rubidium clock on it. Or
This one actually specifically, we ran out the XLRs out the back of this, which you can change to use with the preamp or just line level. And then you can change the gain of that too, because this has a bunch of gain settings. This is what we used in our ultimate headphone test video into your monoblocks, your Rogues, to power the speakers in that.
Right.
So this was the actual source from that. And for speakers, it worked just fine. I could sit there, you know, check out the track, press the headphone button, come out through the headphones. Okay, yeah, that sounds good. Press it again, straight out through the speakers.
Right.
Seamlessly. Just hear a relay click, no pops, no nothing, goes straight out.
which is really cool if you're running, you know, a home system that's got both.
Yeah.
Which I do.
Well, at this
You know?
level, you would probably have both.
Yeah, right. And I mean, it is an expensive DAC, but honestly speaking, it's one of the best sounding DACs that I think we've ever had through here.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. And I think they have DACs that exceed $100,000 for
Well, it's like a whole stack.
multi-piece system, right? Where you get the external clocks and
Yeah.
all this stuff. But so this is actually their
This
lowest
is their entry level.
entry level. Yeah,
Their entry level,
15,000. Yeah, but it is a damn nice sounding DAC.
Yeah.
Bottom line,
I think the best compliment you can give a DAC is to say that it doesn't sound like there's a DAC there.
right?
That's probably one of the best things you can say about a DAC, I feel like. And in this case, the uses that we used it for, we used it for that. We've used it for the DAC for the tracks that we've mixed and stuff like that. It doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like those super clinical DACs that are always harsh.
Yeah,
And it doesn't
a lot
feel
of
like
DACs are.
Yeah,
You know, they're very digital sounding. This thing's got that analog with clarity.
Yeah,
It's
it's an unusual combination.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah.
It feels clear and it feels unaltered. I think transparent, that'd be a good word for it.
It definitely. You've been using it for months now.
I have.
Editing the videos. You've basically we handed it off to you because we didn't know where
I just picked up.
we didn't know where to put
Yeah,
it.
All right.
You know.
I have used this a lot. There was one thing we had to do immediately. This does have a buffer.
Right.
And we had to turn off the buffer because if you were using it in buffered mode, it does add a little bit of latency. So for editing videos that put, a little bit of lag behind so people would talk and I'd hear, I thought, that's kind of weird. We turned off the buffer, and it works great for live stuff now. So if you're using it for like television or movies or something, you might want to do that.
Yeah.
It's probably
I guess it's designed to take the music and load it into memory.
Yeah.
And that's the buffer, which delays it slightly. So yeah, you can turn it on and off.
Mm-hmm.
There is actually
There's a lot of settings.
Yeah, there's a lot of settings.
A lot of filters and such.
Yeah. Speaking of that, did you play with? We never played with the app for this, did we? They have an app for the phones.
I haven't played with the app,
No, none of us
actually. I
used
played
it.
with the front settings on it, and it's just like an endless menu of options.
Not only that, it's a streamer.
Streamer too, yeah.
So I mean, this thing will go online, and I would assume you just it's made for being hardwired, and so you just run your cat cable to this bad boy, and I would assume it's through your app. You could probably
For how well it works with everything else, I would assume. 'Cause we're a little bit more traditional audio heads in some senses here when it comes to gear.
Yeah.
Maybe not in headphones when I was traditional, but when it comes to setting something up, listening to music, we like to plug things in, and just let it do its thing.
Right.
But given how well it works in those situations, I would imagine it works to a similar level of quality for the streaming.
I would think so.
I feel like they wouldn't put something out that isn't at a similar level to the experience we've
Well,
had.
and I know we haven't used the app, but from what I read, other people's usage, I guess it's a pretty good app as apps go. Yeah, it's not an issue to use. It's not, it's probably above 4 out of 5 stars in terms of people's ratings of it. So it's not it's I mean, all around, you think about this, it's a pretty, if you wanted a one-box solution, right, headphones and all, we should talk about that. The headphone amp in this thing is potent.
I was going to say, if you put it, so we've got it at negative 30 decibels right now, and it still gets up there pretty good. You can crank it way up, and it's like, oh, oof.
Yeah, it's got
Bring
power.
it down a little bit, I
don't know what it's rated for, but it drives to 1266.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yep.
Yeah, it puts out some juice. I think that's the biggest outstanding feature of the amp section in this, and it sounds equally as good, I think, on the single ended out, though not quite as loud.
On the front panel.
Yeah, on the front panel, because it does have this quarter 6.3 millimeter.
Yeah, which is kind of typical.
Yeah, but it still sounded clean. I couldn't pick up a noise floor on either.
It's quiet.
You have to look. If you're not playing music, you have to look at it. Is this thing turned on? No hiss, buzz, nothing. So that's nice. Even like sitting there plugged up, obviously USB into a computer on the same outlet as a computer, no power conditioner, no sort of noise, nothing. It was just there, clean, it worked.
You just had to listen a little while ago, right?
Yeah, well, I listened to it when we first got it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, this is good. But then it was in here for like months, so then I haven't heard it in a while.
Yeah.
So I just heard it again. And it's one of those few times where the first like 5 seconds and you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
This is actually, this is better than I remember it being.
Right.
And that's very unusual for something to actually like come out that quickly.
Right.
If you're used to listening to, good equipment, so this is definitely a step up from most things, I'd say.
I think this is the first DAC we've had in-house that exceeds the 10K level in terms of price, We've heard the Cord Dave at shows. You guys have used it.
Yeah.
This is, let's just say and be polite, this is less analytical than that DAC.
Yeah.
And I think it's more musical. I love it. I like it a lot better, particularly with our headphones. Where you tend to see people with the Dave, they're usually trying to find something that's got a bit more harmonic richness to it to add to it, as like another external amplifier. The amplifier built into this is beautiful. You could easily get away with this one-box solution and not require an external amp.
Yeah.
Easily.
Oh, yeah.
It's a $2,500 option.
Right.
To add the headphone out on this. So it's not inexpensive. So by all means, if you have a favorite amp to put on it, this will be a great DAC to go with, like something like the Formula S.
Yeah.
Be a great DAC to use with the Formula S.
I was going to say, I tried this with the Formula S. I've tried it with the GSX Mark II. I think I tried it with the GSX Mini also. I don't recall. But everything I plugged it up to, it played very nicely with. I think, and this is, I haven't actually told you guys about this. I feel like the perfect pairing for this specifically would probably be a WA-33. If you're using this as a DAC, and you're using the WA-33 with our tubes on it.
I used it. I brought it home for a day when it first got here, and I threw it on a W33. It's great.
Yeah.
It's a great source with the tubes, too. Yes. I think because it's clear, and it's got a good neutral sound, and it doesn't sound digital.
No.
It's really good.
Yeah, it almost sounds like analog tape.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, because it rides that line. It's not just like, it's not like soft or anything.
No.
It's still very detailed while still being, musical.
The inner detail is crazy on it. It's so quiet.
You could play anything on it too. That's the other thing. I couldn't find a track where it's like, there was none of that.
No, agreed.
Yeah.
So that's unusual.
Yeah.
That's unusual.
Very.
Yeah. I remember coming into your office and telling you about this too. When I was doing the Ultimate headphone test, when I was editing the audio from that, and I had the binaural head set up in the room. I walked around the room with the triangle and the cajon and all that stuff. I was listening to that audio, and I put on headphones and was using this thing. Threw the internal amp on it. I started playing it, and I heard the sound recorded by the binaural head, and it sounded like someone just slammed the door in the room, and I just went, it's frightening.
I hear you.
Yeah. And you can get close to that with a lot of DACs and headphone amps and whatnot, but having that little barrier broken down.
It's like a palpable, real kind of sound.
It's an undefined characteristic that makes things sound more real. It's kind of hard to put into words.
Yeah, well, it's especially noticeable on Diana, because when you get really good DACs and amps with a Diana, it just seems like you don't have headphones on anymore.
The Diana
That's hard. It's hard to do.
Yeah.
But it hits a point where it just like you're just hearing audio coming from somewhere now.
Yeah, because the res on Diana or the 1266 is the Diana Fi and the 1266.
Yeah.
Crazy resolution. So you want to hear what something sounds like. That's the go-to. I know some of the reviewers that have them. They said that they'll even hook it up to, if they can, they'll use an adapter cable and hook it up to a speaker amp just to get They use our headphones as an instant impression on what the hell the electronics really sound like.
Right.
Reference.
And then go hook it up to a pair of speakers, what it's made for.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so nice to be able to do that, to exclude the room.
Yeah.
And get an absolute feel for what a piece of electronics is. And that's what we're doing here. I mean, it's cool because you're plugging right into one box. The amp's built in, and there's no additional cabling. You got one good power cord on it, and you call it a day. So if you got space for this bad boy, because this thing's
big.
Freaking full rack width,
and a table that can hold it.
That's right.
Yeah, it's that's like 30 pounds.
It's like 36 pounds.
Yeah, so it's over 15 kilos. Yeah. For a DAC.
Yeah, I did have it on a table in here at the beginning, and I took a photo with it, and the table was like leaning a little bit. I was like, okay, we're going to put this on something a little bit more heavy duty.
Yeah, it's serious,
Yeah.
And it's built. I mean, you look at the inside of it, we don't have shots of it, but it's built well, nicely made.
Well, from every side of this, you can look and you can see how thick the actual chassis components are on this.
Yeah, this is probably 1/4 inch aluminum all sides.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a beast.
Yeah, and this works for heat dissipation too. If you leave it on for a while, it doesn't get like hot.
Yeah,
right.
But you leave it on for a few days, and it does warm up a little bit. It doesn't seem to take too much warm up for it to sound where it's supposed to kind of sound. If that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. Which is unusual, actually. Most DACs, you've got to be at full operating temperature. Otherwise, they do sound a little bit uppity when they're cold. But
when I walk in first thing in the morning, especially in our colder months and whatnot after a weekend, it'll be a little bit cool to the touch, but give it half an hour or so, and I feel like it's already like up to operating temperature and good to go.
Yeah. But it doesn't run hot enough at all. Not even you feel it not hot enough where it would matter. You just this thing, if I had it at home, I just leave it on.
Yeah, you're not gonna melt anything or anything like. It's not a heater.
Yeah.
You'll put your hand on it after it's running for a while and be like,
oh,
that's slightly warmer than I would expect metal to be.
Maybe in 90 degrees, 90 degree range. It's not bad. Yeah.
But yeah, I think again with Diana Fi is what I tried it on.
Yeah.
It gives you a real sense of the space of the recording.
Yeah.
Like it just sounds like you're in that room.
It's like
it sounds
pure.
like you're just listening to
very pure
things happen live. Yeah.
Yeah, because you had Stevie Nicks playing over there. I just listened to it before we sat down here to do this video. And it's like, wow, it's like same as you. I'm like, this is better than I remember. It was the same reaction. I wanted to listen to Stevie for a couple more minutes. It's like, this is really nice. So yeah.
Because you're used to listening to all kinds of stuff normally, and you're normally not just like, I want to keep listening. You're always like, okay, that sounds good. But this is like engaging, I think is the word.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, especially with Diana Fi, because you think about it, Diana Fi is already mechanically similar to 1266.
Yeah.
But it's got such low acoustic impedance. There's so little airspace between the driver and your ears. You're going to hear right through to the electronics.
Oh yeah.
So in this case, hearing the electronics being as transparent as they are and as lifelike as they are, it translated straight through the headphone.
Yep.
And that was that.
So thumbs up on this one.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't think I want to see it leave.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to figure out how we can purchase this.
And actually, it moved up my rankings in shipping.
Today. Yeah, right. Whoops. Sorry, UK. I think it's made in UK, right?
Yeah.
It's British made.
Yeah. Because I was always thinking it was good, but now today it's like, it's definitely better than, it's one of the best.
It's top shelf.
No doubt.
So yeah, highly recommended with our headphones for sure.
So I guess we all like it. That
Absolutely.
pretty much boils down to that. We'll have this linked in the video description if you guys want to check it out. If there are more amps you want to hear us talk about, let us know in the comments. And I think that's pretty much going to wrap this one up.
Yep.
So we will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.